again, Rob.
Hi, Candace.
How are you?
I'm good. I feel like it's been 5 minutes since I last saw you.
It feels like that, but it also feels like ages. So today we have a special guest. Someone I really don't know.
Not well at all.
Not well at all.
Yeah.
Husband Kyle is here.
Husband Kyle.
Hi.
Is that how you refer to him? This is Husband Kyle.
It's nice to meet you.
It's really nice. I've heard a lot.
I've heard good things.
I've heard good things. I've
It's
heard
an
bad
arranged
things.
marriage?
But I've heard mostly good things.
Yeah, I mean, I got the ring in the mail. So
You got the ring in the mail.
Yeah. It was a Fruit Loop.
It was oh, that's kind of cute, actually. That's a gay marriage, a Fruit Loop.
Oh.
So, Kyle, why don't you tell the people a little bit about yourself?
I'm Candace's husband.
We established that.
Right. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And we've been friends with Rob for a very long time now.
Don't tell them that. Don't tell them it's so long.
Oh, yeah,
We're very young
so
people.
old.
Rob-
Oh my god, I fucking hate you.
Rob is a very newly born baby.
Yes,
He
exactly.
is a fresh baby skin.
Baby skin.
Your baby skin.
He bathed in stem cells on
Jesus.
That's how young Rob is. So yeah, husband Kyle, you love the video games.
I do.
Yeah, Kyle's a gamer.
Yeah.
And you work in computers, right?
I do. I work in IT.
Do you like it?
Yeah. No, it's good. It's very interesting. It's always expanding. So there's always interesting stuff to do. But also it pays the bills.
I like that because I like going outside and doing things and shopping.
I like going outside. I can't do that without money.
No,
No,
The
you
tree,
can't.
can't even look at that.
can't look at that tree. Gotta pay those bills. Those tree bills. So yeah, we have a group of 3 today, which I feel like that number 3 has come up quite a lot in spooky stuff.
Yeah, 3 is a very common one for whatever reason.
Yeah. But we're kind of switching how we're going to organize this week.
Yeah, we're playing this one a little bit by ear.
Fast and loose.
So yeah, we figured, especially for something like It Creeps Me Out, which is the podcast you're listening to because we didn't
This
introduce
creeps
it.
me out.
Oh my god, I do this every time I don't know the name of our podcast.
Hi, this creeps me out. This is Rob, Candace, and guest husband Kyle.
Yeah, there we go. There's the entrance.
I feel like listeners enjoy pointing that stuff out though. So it's like another reason for them to make
I
comments.
hope so, because I never know the name of our
Like,
fucking
subscribe, comment, Spotify.
Tell me the name of our
Apple.
podcast,
Smash
please.
that bell.
Smash that
ring,
bell.
ring.
Yeah. But this week, what we decided to do is we thought it would be fun to do something with the Grimm fairy tales.
Yes.
And mainly because they have inspired so many of the fairy tales that we know. Right?
Yes. So the Grimm brothers, who wrote so many of the really popular fairy tales, and we're going to do a little bit today discussing Hansel and Gretel, which is one of my favorites. It is so creepy.
Yeah.
But they took a lot of fairy tales from other people. They kind of stole them, but they also wrote some new ones.
Okay. Well, didn't they kind of go village to village and
Are you just thinking about that movie that you watched about the Grimm brothers of Heath Ledger?
I mean, we all know that my research skills are not. Did they do that though?
I mean, I feel like they did kind of do a little bit pouncy research, and then took down some of those tales. But I feel like they ripped off a lot of good ones, and we're going to get into that. Kyle's going to be reading a story today that completely rips off another story called Bluebeard.
Oh, is it really just a complete ripoff?
Oh,
of
yeah.
that?
But there's this whole fairy tale scholarship that you can go into, which I'm not going to bore the listeners with. But the Grimm brothers really kind of reinvented fairy tales into being very violent and very scary. And that was done on purpose because before the fairy tales were really sexualized, and these were all meant for children, right? They were meant to scare kids into not doing certain things. And very moralizing, very be good Christian folk. Sorry, Potato's in the background right now eating a carrot. That's a little munchy sounds.
Well, and Potato is her dog.
Yeah.
No, it is
Not her weird brother who lives in the attic.
It is just
He's in LA right now.
Yeah, all 3 of their dogs are actually here. So you may hear Acheron, Humphrey, or Potato in the background. At some point, I said Humphrey's name, and he pops up.
He stared and snorted.
Well, I think also because he heard Potato get a carrot, and he was
Oh, that's true.
That's not fair because I like food.
Yeah, so we are battling the elements for this one.
So they reinvented these fairy tales to be less sexual and more violent.
Okay, that makes sense.
So one day we will be kind of going over non-Grimm fairy tales, and there's going to definitely be some warnings because they get into very sexual and disturbing nature of the tales. But the Grimm fairy tales do get very creepy, and we're going to go through that today.
Yeah. So, and we are going to read, I think we're doing 4 stories total for this one. There are how many total?
A lot.
There are like 200
There's a
stories.
lot. They're all available online too, so open
Yeah, you can
access.
get them for free. That's how we're able to do this.
Public domain, right?
Public domain, yeah, because the Grimm brothers are quite old.
Yeah, and
Quite dead.
the 2 I'm reading I found online, so you can definitely get them for free. But yeah, so I'm gonna do 2. Candace and Kyle are each gonna do 1, and we're gonna kind of react and talk about them as we go.
There's a lot of creep factor ahead, and just a warning that some of these do get kind of very violent.
Yeah, some of them are very violent. Some they're like, but
Cannibalism is discussed. I don't think really anything is going to be too sexual.
I was gonna say I didn't
stories.
run into anything like that.
I think Kyle's story does get a little bit into it, but that's just a warning to keep a note of before you listen. But
yeah, be mindful. But I mean, they're not really that.
they're not too graphic. No.
Yeah.
Well,
Maybe Kyle's.
Kyle's is. So when Kyle starts speaking again for a long period of time, just
Ignore me.
just go forward.
Just be mindful.
Yeah.
Fast forward.
Fast forward. So, Rob, what's our first story?
Oh, I picked. Sorry, the title is "The Devil's Sooty Brother."
Sooty?
Sooty, like Sooty.
So he's dirty.
Yeah, the
He's
Devil's
covered
Dirty
in,
Brother.
He's like Cinderella.
So the first one's very sexual. Just kidding. So, and it goes like this. A discharged soldier had nothing to live on and did not know how to make his way. So he went out into the forest, and when he walked for a short time, he met a little man who turned out to be the devil.
How little?
It does not say. It just says a little man.
I want to know how little.
You're going to have to ask Jacob and what's his face?
Wilhelm.
Wilhelm. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a little man.
Okay.
The little man said to him, "What ails you? You seem so very sorrowful." The soldier said, "I am hungry but have no money." The devil said, "If you will hire yourself to me and be my serving man, you shall have enough for all your life. You shall serve me for 7 years, and after that you shall again be free. But one thing I must tell you, and that is, you must not wash, comb, or trim yourself, or cut your hair or nails, or wipe the water from your eyes."
No.
That's gross, right?
That's gross. He needs a washerwoman.
Oh, God. He does not. The soldier said, "All right, if there is no help for it," and went off with the little man, who straightway led him down into hell.
Okay.
Then he told him what he had to do. He was to poke the fire under the kettles wherein the hell broth was stewing, keep the house clean, drive all the sweepings behind the doors, and see that everything was kept in order. But if he once peeped into the kettles, it would go ill with him.
Oh.
Yeah, sorry.
So no peeping.
No peeping in the kettles.
And this hell broth is...
It's what type of juice is
It's
this?
hell broth. I don't
Is
know.
it juicy?
Standard.
Like a
hell
chicken
broth.
broth?
It's just, yes,
Like
it
a
is.
bone
Just
broth?
Okay, gotcha.
I think we're going to find out.
They filter it through a cheesecloth.
Oh, cheesecloth.
No, they filter it through a cheesecloth. It's common.
I have
Like
a
it's
lot of
onions in there?
questions.
This is house too.
Okay.
The soldier said, "Good, I will take care." And then the old devil went out again on his wanderings, and the soldier entered upon his new duties, made the fire, and swept the dirt well behind the doors, just as he had been bidden. When the old devil came back again, he looked to see if all had been done, appeared satisfied, and went forth a second time. The soldier now took a good look on every side. The kettles were standing all... Sorry, this is so hard to read. The soldier...
You do struggle.
I do. Especially when like I said, I always read like a jock in 8th grade who's still sounding it out. The soldier now took a good look on every side. The round hell... Oh my God. The kettles were standing all round hell with a mighty fire below them. And inside they were boiling and sputtering. This is my version of hell.
The sputtering kettles.
Yeah, just reading about it. He would have given anything to look inside them if the devil had not particularly forbidden him. At last he could no longer restrain himself, slightly raised the lid of the first kettle and peeped in, and there he saw his former corporal sitting. "Aha, old bird," said he, "do I meet you here? You once had me in your power, now I have you." And he quickly let the lid fall, poked the fire, and added a fresh log.
Wow.
Right? What an asshole. After that, he went to the second kettle, raised its lid also a little, and peeped in, and there sat his former ensign. Aha, old bird! So I find you here. Yeah. It's an owl. So I find you here. You once had me in your power, now I have you. He closed the lid again and fetched yet another log to make it really hot.
Spicy.
Right? Then he wanted to see who might be sitting up in the third kettle, and who should it be but his general. Aha, old bird! Do I meet you here? Once you had me in your power, now I have you. And he fetched the bellows and made hellfire blaze right under him.
Oh.
So he did his work 7 years in hell, did not wash, comb, or trim himself, or cut his hair or nails.
Think of the smell.
I know this. Oh, God.
Think of the smell, you bitch!
That's how they season the hell broth.
You look like a bird.
Yeah. So, Sunny in Philadelphia just stole the
Old
story.
bird, you look like a bitch, old bird.
He did not wash, comb, or trim himself, or cut his hair or nails, or wash the water out of his eyes.
Oh, God.
And the 7 years seemed so short to him that he thought he had only been half a year. Now when the time had fully gone by, the devil came and said, Well, Hans, what have you done? I poked the fire under the kettles, and I have swept all the dirt well behind the doors. But you have peeped into the kettles as well. It is lucky for you that you added fresh logs to them, or else your life would have been forfeited. Now that your time is up, will you go home again? Yes, said the soldier. I would very much like to see what my father is doing at home. The devil said, In order that you may receive the wages you have earned, go and fill your knapsack full of the sweepings and take it home with you. You must also go unwashed and uncombed, with long hair on your head and beard, and with uncut nails and dim eyes. And when you are asked whence you come, you must say, From hell. And when you are asked who you are to say, The devil's sooty brother, and my king as well.
Oh, my king.
Yeah, my king.
He got
right?
promoted.
Yeah, he did. The soldier held his peace and did as the devil bade him, but he was not at all satisfied with his wages. Then as soon as he was up in the forest again, he took his knapsack from his back to empty it, but upon opening it, the sweepings had become pure gold.
Oh.
Right? I would do that for 7 freaking years.
Yeah, but you don't even know.
I should never have expected that, said he, and was well pleased, and entered the town. The landlord was standing in front of the inn, and when he saw the soldier approaching, he was terrified, because Hans looked such a horrible sight, worse than a scarecrow. He called to him and asked, Whence you come? From hell. Who are you? The devil's sooty brother, and my king as well. Then the host would not let him enter. But when Hans showed him the gold, he came and unlatched the door himself. Hans then ordered the best room and attendants, ate and drank his fill, but neither washed nor combed himself as the devil had bidden him, and at last lay down to sleep. But the knapsack full of gold remained before the eyes of the landlord, and left him no peace, and during the night he crept in and stole it away. Next morning, however, when Hans got up and wanted to pay the landlord and travel further, behold, his knapsack was gone. But he soon composed himself and thought, You have been unfortunate from no fault of your own, and straightway went back again to hell, complained of his misfortune to the old devil, and begged for his help. The devil said, Seat yourself, I will wash, comb, and trim you, cut your hair and nails, and wash your eyes for you.
What a good guy.
I know, right?
This is great.
And this is a great
I
story.
think I have to change religion.
And when he had done with him, he gave him the knapsack back again full of sweepings, and said, Go and tell the landlord that he must return you your money, or else I will come and fetch him, and he shall poke the fire in your place. Hans went up and said to the landlord, You have stolen my money. If you do not return it, you shall go down to hell in my place, and will look as horrible as I. Then the landlord gave him his money and more besides, only begging him to keep it secret, and Hans was now a rich man. He set out on his way home to his father, bought himself a shabby smock to wear, and strolled about making music, for he had learned to do that while he was with the devil in hell. There was, however, an old king in that country before whom he had to play, and the king was so delighted with his playing that he promised him his eldest daughter in marriage.
Look at that.
Right? What a weird thing to promise over music. But when she heard that she was to be married to a common fellow in a smock, she said, Rather than do that, I would go into the deepest water. Then the king gave him the youngest, who was quite willing to do it to please her father, and thus the devil's sooty brother got the king's daughter, and when the aged king died, the whole kingdom likewise.
That is a great story.
Isn't that bizarre?
So the moral of the story is trust the devil. And
trust the devil. He's going to give you gold.
And just be a little dirty.
Yeah, and then you'll become a king.
Okay.
You know, he didn't even have to follow the letter of the law. He didn't have to he didn't have to follow the letter of the law there. You mean like he looked inside the kettles?
He looked in those kettles.
But he was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to add some extra logs because screw these guys.
Yeah. So basically, go work for the devil,
Yep.
be a total dick, you'll make a lot of money, you'll marry the king's daughter, and become a king.
Yeah. And you were only dirty for about 7.5 years?
This is required reading for anyone who wants to go on Wall Street.
Yes, very true.
Am I creeped out or impressed?
Yeah, I mean, this one wasn't particularly creepy, but...
It's the lack of hygiene.
yeah, that part's
I
creepy.
am not the most kept person, but I would wager that I couldn't go 7 years.
It's the birth of an incel. That's what makes it creepy.
Shave everything but your neck beard.
Basically, this is the incel's Bible. Do not bathe, do not do anything.
And you will be given the king's youngest daughter.
Yeah, hate your enemies. You will eventually make a shit ton of money and marry a rich
love
girl.
how the oldest daughter that was like, I will not marry thee. I will then drown myself.
Literally.
In the deepest
I'm with her. In the deepest of waters.
But you know, he was clean then too. Like she's just like
He
because
was,
of the
that
commoner
was-
thing.
I'd
Yeah,
like
but just
to
because we
know,
wore a smock.
I'd
Which
like
is
to know if
also
she
a very
actually
incel thing.
Oh yeah.
Oh, what, I'm not good enough for you?
So the question is, did she actually drown, or was she just like, "Ugh, I'd rather like drown in the ocean?
No, she's saying I would rather drown myself than
And the king
marry
was
a
like,
common man.
okay.
Yeah.
Let's see it happen, bitch.
I don't think it went that far.
And you know what? And the devil like cleaned him up.
You cleaned him up all
Shaved
nice.
him?
Oh, me immediately think of Jesus of
Yeah, me
Nazareth.
too.
When he,
Washing
when
the
he
feet.
washes their feet. I
was just
oh
like-
my God.
They get a pedicure.
What
But-
kind of Christian story is this?
Yeah, because these guys were like.
They're like,
The moral of the
"Alright."
story here is befriend the devil.
You had
Apparently, a
money.
lot of hard work pays off. I don't know.
Hey, potato.
Yeah, there's yeah. You will hear potato at some points. It's just a given.
Yeah, and Acheron's just licking this monster toy that he has, and he's just like, I'm not gonna stop.
Yeah,
That's
he does.
from Big Hero 6. I think so.
I don't know. He likes a big toy.
So, should we do you want to go next?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a common one because you guys picked more obscure ones, which I love. So I
Like a retelling, or rather not a retelling, but like.
I'm just gonna go with the classic Hansel and Gretel.
Oh, okay.
It's good to have, I think, a more common one.
And plus, I love this one.
Yeah.
I think it's beautiful. We did see a Hansel and Gretel opera a few years ago, and that was really cool.
There's a Hansel and Gretel opera.
Of course, there is.
They like threw food at each other. It was like
Yeah.
real food all over. Every single bit of food that was in, it was like all real. It
Oh,
was,
those
Yeah.
poor janitors.
it was crazy.
Oh no, they had to definitely clean a lot of that stage up.
Oh yeah, there was like sugar and flour and.
Did that room not smell?
I think it. No. I mean, like it was in the Met, so it was.
Really? Was it the Met?
Well, the Met Opera.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just surprised that
Yeah,
that
no,
would be.
this was like a giant show. We saw it during Christmas time a few years ago with
Yeah.
Thaddeus and Jonathan.
Yeah, and the second act was nuts. They like everything got covered in food and sugar and
And like there were these giant like puppet things. It was really scary.
yeah.
I really feel bad for whoever had to clean that. That's all I'd be able to think about the whole show.
Yeah, the fact that they had multiple shows, which means they have to do it every time.
How many shows did they have?
They probably did it like
It was limited. It was a limited run for Christmas.
Thank God.
potato.
Come here, buddy.
Potato's like, I'm not a fan of the opera.
Come here, potato.
So I'm gonna read you the story of Hansel and Gretel. It's like I said, one of my favorites. It's a good witch tale, a classic witch tale. I even recreated this fairy tale in one of my doll houses.
Did you make a diorama?
I did make a little diorama. And I covered it with like sugar and cookies. Not real, because
Yeah.
that's how you get ants.
Yeah, that is how you do it.
Yeah, but then the witch, and I put her in the oven, because we'll get there.
Yes.
So, I'm sure a lot of you have seen stories of Hansel and Gretel, but I'm just going to read you the Grimm version. Obviously, this is the English translation. The Grimm brothers wrote it in German. I'm not very good in German, so it's not going to happen. Okay, so Hansel one day took his sister Gretel by the hand and said, "Since our poor mother died, we have had no happy days, for our new mother beats us all day long, and when we go near her, she pushes us away. We have nothing but hard crust to eat, and the little dog that lies by the fire is better off than we, for he sometimes has a nice piece of meat thrown to him. Heaven have mercy upon us. Oh, if our poor mother knew how we are used. Come, we will go and travel over the wide world. So they went the whole day walking over the fields, till in the evening they came to a great wood. And then they were so tired and hungry that they sat down in a hollow tree and went to sleep. In the morning, when they awoke, the sun had risen high above the trees and shone warm upon the hollow tree. Then Hansel said, Sister, I am very thirsty. If I could go find a brook, I would go and drink and fetch you some water too. Listen, I think I hear the sound of one.
I think I hear the sound
And then
of
it's potato eating a carrot. And Humphrey's gonna eat a carrot too
I
now.
think I hear the sound of carrots.
Eaten by little puppies.
Oh.
Crunch, crunch.
Crunch, crunch, crunch.
That's all part of the story, by the way.
Oh yeah, no, this was originally part of the Grimm tales that little puppies would eat carrots in the woods.
Crunch, crunch, crunch.
Crunch, crunch, crunch. Listen, I think I hear the sound of one brook. Then Hansel rose up and took Gretel by the hand and went in search of the brook. But their cruel stepmother was a fairy. Twist. And had followed them into the wood to work them mischief. And when they had found a brook that ran sparkling over the pebbles, Hansel wanted to drink. But Gretel thought she heard the brook as it babbled along. Say, whoever drinks here will be turned into a tiger. Then she cried out, Ah, brother, do not drink, or you will be turned into a wild beast and tear me to pieces. Then Hansel yielded, although he was parched with thirst. I will wait, said he, for the next brook. But when they came to the next, Gretel listened again and thought she heard, Whoever drinks here will become a wolf. Then she cried out, Brother, brother, do not drink, or you will become a wolf and eat me. So he did not drink, but said, I will wait for the next brook. There I must drink. Say what you will, I am so thirsty. As they came to the third brook,
Happens all the time.
Gretel listened and heard, Whoever drinks here will become a fawn. Ah, brother, said she, do not drink, or you will be turned into a fawn and run away from me. But Hansel had already stooped down upon his knees, and the moment he had put his lips into the water, he was turned into a fawn.
Oh.
Yeah, this is not a version I know.
Gretel wept bitterly over the poor creature, and the tears too rolled down his eyes as he laid himself beside her. Then she said, Rest in peace, dear fawn. I will never, never leave thee. So she took off her golden necklace and put it round his neck, and plucked some rushes and plaited them into a soft string to fasten to it, and led the poor little thing by her side farther into the wood. After they had travelled a long way, they came at last to a little cottage, and Gretel, having looked in and seen that it was quite empty, thought to herself, We can stay and live here. Then she went and gathered leaves and moss to make a soft bed for the fawn, and every morning she went out and plucked nuts, roots, and berries for herself, and swept shrubs and tender grass for her companion. And it ate out of her hand, and it was pleased, and played and frisked about her. In the evening, when Gretel was tired and had said her prayers, she laid her head upon the fawn for her pillow, and slept. And if poor Hansel could but have his right form again, they thought she could lead a very happy life. They lived thus a long while in the wood by themselves, till it chanced that the king of the country came to hold a great hunt there. And when the fawn heard all around the echoing of the horns, and the baying of the dogs, and the merry shouts of the huntsmen, he wished very much to go and see what was going on. Ah, sister, sister, not the TV show, said he, let me go out into the wood, I can stay no longer. And he begged so long that she at last agreed to let him go. But, she said, be sure to come to me in the evening. I shall shut up the door to keep out those wild huntsmen, but if you tap at it and say, Sister, let me in, I shall know you, but if you don't speak, I shall keep the door fast. Then away sprang the fawn, and frisked and bounded along in the open air. The king and his huntsmen saw the beautiful creature, and followed, but could not overtake him. For when they thought they were sure of the prize, he sprang over the bushes, and was out of sight in a moment. When did we get to the witch?
Yeah, it's good. This is not a version that I remember at all. Choose a spot.
No, I don't know if she comes in here. We're going to see what happens.
I mean, this might be a completely different version.
Could be very different, and we're learning.
Yeah.
This is part 1.
As it grew dark, he came running home to the hut and tapped and said, Sister, sister, let me in. Then she opened the little door, and in he jumped and slept soundly all night on his soft bed.
Aww.
Next morning the hunt began again, and when he heard the huntsman's horns, he said, "Sister, open the door for me. I must go again." Then she let him out and said, "Come back in the evening and remember what you are to say." When the king and the huntsman saw the fawn with the golden collar again, they gave him chase, but he was too quick for them. The chase lasted the whole day, but at last the huntsman nearly surrounded him, and one of them wounded him in the foot, so that he came sadly lame and could hardly crawl home. The man who had wounded him followed close behind and hid himself, and heard the little fawn say, "Sister, sister, let me in," upon which the door opened and soon shut again. The huntsman marked all well, and went to the king and told him what he had seen and heard. Then the king said, "Tomorrow we will have another chase." Gretel was very frightened when she saw that her dear little fawn was wounded, but she washed the blood away and put some healing herbs on it, and said, "Now go to bed, dear fawn, and you will soon be well again." The wound was so small that in the morning there was nothing to be seen of it, and when the horns blew, the little creature said, "I can't stay here. I must go and look on. I will take care that none of them shall catch me." What a stupid fawn.
Yeah,
That's
why?
not-
He's like, I heard the horn. I must go.
I must go.
I have to be a part of this.
The first day I was like, okay, he doesn't get it.
He's got FOMO, faux show.
Yeah, but like at this point, you're asking for it,
It's a
Hansel.
dumb little fawn. But Gretel said, "I am sure they will kill you this time.
Gretel's got it. She
I will not let
understands.
you go." "I shall die of vexation," answered he, "and if you keep me here, when I hear the horns, I feel as if I could fly." What? Then Gretel was forced to let him go, so she opened the door with a heavy heart, and he bounded out gaily into the wood. When the king saw him, he said to the huntsman, "Now chase him all day long till you catch him, but let none of you do any harm." The sun set, however, without their being able to overtake him, and the king called away the huntsman, and said to the one who had watched, "Now come and show me that little hut." So they went to the door and tapped and said, "Sister, sister, let me in." Then the door opened, and the king went in, and there stood a maiden more lovely than any he had ever seen.
Wait, how old is Gretel supposed to be here?
Too young.
9.
Oh
A
God,
maiden more lovely.
Gretel.
Gretel.
Cradle.
Gretel was frightened, as she should be, to see that it was not her fawn, but a king with a golden crown. That was come into her hut. However, he spoke kindly to her and took her hand and said, "Will you come with me to my castle and be my wife?" What?
I agree, potato.
"Yes," said the maiden, "but my fawn must go with me. I cannot part with that." "Well," said the king, "he shall come and live with you all your life and want for nothing." Just at that moment in sprang the little fawn, and his sister tied the string to his neck, and they left the hut in the wood together.
Okay.
Then the king took Gretel to his palace and celebrated the marriage in great state, and she told the king all her story, and he sent for the fairy and punished her. And the fawn was changed into Hansel again, and he and his sister loved one another and lived happily ever after all their days.
Oh.
The end.
That's
Okay.
a very different version than I'm
Very
used to.
different version.
And I kind of understand why we've never seen that version before now.
It's a strange one.
It's a story of pedophilia. Like, what? How old
Yeah.
is she supposed to be
I mean,
there?
she could be like 13 to 16.
That's still very young. I mean, granted,
for the time.
how old?
I
Yeah,
have no
how old
idea.
are they?
When was Grimm written? Were the
Very
Fairytales
long time
gathered
ago.
and assembled?
I don't know what I just read.
You just read Hansel and Gretel.
That was actually Gretel and
Gretel.
and Hansel.
How old are they? And where? This is me using my good gal pal Google. They were written in 1812.
Good year. Good year.
That's pretty late for.
Yeah, that's not as I was expecting like
For
a
a
15.
child.
Yeah. 1812 seems a little That
I am astounded.
is very gross.
Oh, there is another story in this volume called Hans and His Wife Gretel.
I hope that's not the same.
Do you think it's the brothers and the sisters?
I don't.
And the sisters?
While reading that, and this is, listeners, you could see I did not prep and read the book beforehand because I was like, why should I read this? I know it's definitely the story of Hansel and Gretel.
Well, now you know.
Now I know there's a different version.
Yeah, I'm surprised because I was expecting. I was expecting the witch, and
I also like how they just casually threw in there, and Hansel was turned back. How?
No, they gathered the witch, their evil
they got
stepmother,
the
the fairy. Yeah,
Yeah, but they said the fairy was punished.
I think, yeah, I don't know what happened.
The father just didn't know she was a fairy, or didn't care. I also like how she's a fairy, like, afterwards. Like she's nasty and she's mean to them, and then they run off, and then she's a fairy.
But
not before.
BT Dub's also a fairy.
Yeah, exactly.
that was weird.
It was weird. Well, we learned something new today.
Yeah, I'd never heard that version of Hansel and Gretel before.
So the moral of the story is, if you hear about something that sounds really dangerous to you, and like you really shouldn't be a part of it, make sure you go be a part of it.
Because you will marry an old king. That seems to be the...
I mean, I feel like that's always been your goal, Rob.
It's marry an old king.
Yeah.
If your sibling wants to hurt themselves, remember, you could marry a king out of it.
You can marry a king out of
it sounds like Hansel just always wanted to have a party and go outside. And Gretel was like, you're being dumb. Don't do that. You're a fawn. And he got hurt. And then the king found him. And then she had to get married to an old guy.
But she went willingly.
Who
It
says
was a
he's an old
different
guy?
time.
I'm not.
like in his
I'm not
20s.
justifying it. I'm
He
just
could have
saying.
been a young king. That happened too. Because kings died and then the younger son would then... the eldest son would then be made...
fair.
If he's on the hunt, he's likely in his, like, from 20 to 40.
No, it could be a baby.
From 20 to 40.
Yeah,
He could have been like a teen.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
A young king.
With a golden crown. But all we know is he's a
I
king
wish
with a
that-
golden crown.
I just wish that they would have mentioned he was a young king. That's why I feel like he's not, because they generally like a young king.
Okay, well, it's very grim, early 19th
An old
century.
fart.
That's what makes it creepy. That's what makes it. This creeps me out because I'm pretty sure that this poor young girl was taking care of her brother, who's an idiot, and then had to marry an old guy. I mean, granted, she did get to become a queen, so there's a silver lining.
It's a no. It's a no for me.
But like, oh God.
I could see an adaptation of this, like a What's Eating Gilbert Grape type thing.
Wait, why?
Explain.
Like the siblings, one needing to take care of the other. Because
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
but there's no mother figure who needs to
there's
be
the mother
craned out of the
figure.
house.
Yeah, it's the fairy. She's a really, really fat fairy.
Oh my God.
Okay, well, you know what? I learned something new today. I never read that version of Hansel and Gretel before.
Yeah, no, I've never heard that one. I wonder if anybody listening has heard that version of Hansel and Gretel. There's probably one person who's like read all the Grimm fairy tales. Who are like, I knew that was coming.
Like tiger, wolf, fawn. What like variations of those babbling brooks, Like that's a tiger, that's a wolf. That will turn you into a fawn.
Also, the next brook. He's like, the next brook we come across. I'm like...
How many brooks are
Yeah,
there?
is it connected to the same...
Water source?
Yeah.
I don't know. Fairy.
You guys are thinking a little too far into it.
Well, Kyle, it's your turn.
All right.
Which one do you have?
So I have Fitcher's bird. And
Fitcher?
Fitcher's bird. Like Fitcher's as in like possessive. So Fitcher's bird. Like it's
Fitcher's the
Fitcher's
person.
bird.
Oh, thank you.
So so as they mentioned before, this is kind of a take on Bluebeard. So if you know that story, this is going to sound very similar.
One of my favorites.
Once upon a time, there was a sorcerer who disguised himself as a poor man, went begging from house to house, and captured beautiful girls.
Damn.
No one knew where he took them, for none of them ever returned. One day, he came to the door of a man who had 3 beautiful daughters. He appeared to be a poor, weak beggar, and he carried a pack basket on his back, as though he wanted to collect some benevolent offerings in it. He asked for a bite to eat, and when the oldest daughter came out to give him a piece of bread, he simply touched her, and she was forced to jump into his pack basket.
What?
Yeah, I'm
Did she change size?
but that's like, how big is the pack basket? Like, What does that mean? Is it like a pack or basket or some hybrid of the two? And
I imagine that it's just like those things that people carry on their front that they keep little babies in.
So like this
so she's just like
sitting
on his back
dangling those little
so
arms.
she's not even hidden. She just like jumps in and he's just like carrying her.
Just strapped on his back, yes.
Well, that makes
be a
this even
backpack
better.
while you run.
Because then he hurries away with powerful strides and carried her to his house, which stood in the middle of a dark forest. So you get that image of her dangling on
She's
the
the
front
Yoda
pack. Yeah.
to the Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
There you go.
You should do a flip. Everything was splendid in the house, and he gave her everything that she wanted. He said, "My dear, you will like it here with me. You will have everything that your heart desires." So it went for a few days, and then he said to her, "I have to go away and leave you alone for a short time. Here are the house keys. You may go everywhere and look at everything except for the one room that has this little key here unlocks. I forbid you to go there on the penalty of death."
Oh my god.
Right? He also gave her an egg, saying, "Can I offer you an egg this trying time?"
Wait, what?
It's an Always Sunny Philadelphia thing.
Oh.
Frank carries an egg and he's just like, "Can I offer you this nice egg in this trying time?"
I
So,
have not seen that episode.
What he actually said is, he offered her an egg, saying, "Take good care of this egg. You should carry it with you at all times, for if you should lose it, great misfortune would follow."
This is like that baby thing. Take care of
What?
the egg. If the egg breaks, you're not a good parent.
I did
Yeah.
not know where you were going with that.
Oh yeah, no, I understand. It was
What?
it's life skills.
No, I get it
Seventh
now.
grade
Like the
life
bag
skills.
of flour, usually.
Yeah,
Take the
but
egg.
an egg's harder.
An egg
Or
is...
easier to crack. Harder to take care of.
But it's small. Okay, anyway.
As soon as he had gone, she walked about in the house from top to bottom, examining everything. The rooms glistened with silver and gold, and she thought she had never seen such splendor. Finally, she came to the forbidden door. She wanted to pass it by, but curiosity gave her no rest. She examined the key. It looked like any other one. She put it into the lock, twisted it a little, and the door sprang open. What did she see when she stepped inside? A large bloody basin stood in the middle. Inside, there lay the cut-up parts of dead girls.
Oh my god.
How many?
It doesn't specify.
Yeah, surprise.
Listen, the cut-up parts of dead girls. So it is definitely multiple. It's plural.
The skins?
Oh my god.
Nearby,
Jesus Christ.
I mean, I assume that there's...
I am assuming
bits
that
in-
The smell, you bitch!
I'm assuming all parts of the dead girls
The
are
viscera.
in...
Okay,
is
but are they
strewn
organized?
Yeah, that's
Do
a
you
good
have
point.
the arms in one
What do you
bucket?
mean it's a good point?
The legs in another bucket, the heads in. I would display the heads.
I mean, like, it says there lay the cut-up parts of dead girls. So are they, like, yeah,
I want to know: are they
organized by bits?
cataloged
Cataloged.
using Library of Congress or Dewey
Yeah. Is there a Dewey Decimal System
for body parts?
a...
I
an
think
elbow?
there's just a bunch of pieces of dead girls in a bucket.
Is it a bucket? Is it one bucket?
Yeah, are you thinking it's
He's
How
one?
not
many
a
dead girls
bucket.
can fit into one bucket? What bucket are we talking about?
You guys are really interested in the specifics, and this creeps me out.
I got a big basin of bloody bits for you.
I've got my tools!
Oh my god, the two of you.
Nearby, there was a wooden block with a glistening axe lying on it. So now we know how he did it.
You're hearing the crunching of dog carrots right now.
Yeah, no, that's actually our tools.
We're creating an ambiance, if you will, an immersive experience.
She was so terrified that the egg, which she was holding in her hand, fell into the basin.
Oh, it's gonna be bloody egg.
Yep, she got it out. She wiped off the blood, but it was to no avail, for it always came back. She wiped and scrubbed, but she could not get rid of the stain.
Get a different egg.
I mean, like,
talk to a
I would
chicken.
think so. Maybe he like
go get an egg.
scoured the house and he was like, no more eggs.
Then you go find a chicken egg.
I
You go to the
suppose.
chicken store.
What other kind of egg would
The
it be?
chicken store.
Ostrich.
Why?
Snake.
Okay.
Oh,
Why?
that's nice, actually. Yeah. Ooh, yeah. It could have been a snake egg, and then they could
I
have.
feel like all these things would have been specified.
You say that.
You say that we don't know.
You still don't know where her bits were about.
Wait,
I mean, like
her bits?
Her bits?
all their bits.
Gotcha.
Okay, the organization of the bits.
Yeah, exactly. We don't even know how they were organized. Not long afterwards, the man returned from his journey, and he immediately asked for the key and the egg. She handed them to him, shaking all the while, for he saw from the red stain that she had been in the blood chamber. Oh, it's the blood chamber.
Which
What
is
if
good to
she
know.
just dropped it in some beet soup, like some borscht?
She could be like, yeah, I was cooking with beets.
Beets stain.
I mean, that is true.
You got nothing?
I have nothing for this.
You went into that chamber against my will, he said. And now against your will you go back in once again. Your life is finished.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, yeah, he threw her down, dragged her by the hair into the chamber,
No.
cut off her head on the block, then cut her up into pieces. And
How many pieces?
Oh my God, Candace.
We know for sure that it's multiple pieces of the body and the head is gone.
Okay,
I just want to put this out there. If any murders happen in our area, it is single-handedly Candace who's committing them.
Oh, Rob, no one's going to find you.
I didn't go in that room.
It's only a matter of time.
Right.
So then he threw her into the basin with the others. Now I will go get the second one, said the sorcerer, and again, disguised as a poor man, he went to that same house begging. The second sister brought him a piece of bread, and as he had done to the first one, he captured her merely by touching her, and he carried her away. Again,
In the pack sack?
Yeah, obviously, again, that
the
same,
baby-
the baby bouncies.
Yeah,
Bouncies?
the baby bouncies. Okay.
Now I imagine that he has one of those, like, the toy ones, not actually carrying her, but like dragging it behind
Oh my
him
God.
as she like kind of bounces in the wheels like down the lane. It went no better than it had gone with her sister. She let herself be astray by her curiosity, opened the blood chamber, as you do.
As one does.
I mean, I can't blame her. She probably found her sister in there.
Yeah, she looked inside. When he returned, she paid with her life. Then he went and captured the third sister, but she was clever and sly. After he had given her the keys and the egg and had gone away, she carefully put the egg aside and then examined the house, entering finally the forbidden chamber. Oh, what she saw! Her two dear sisters were lying there in the basin.
Okay, lying in the basin.
There.
That does not mean chopped up bitties.
I mean, he said, it's specified, they're chopped up bits, and
But
then
how
there's
are
no
they-
head. Because he chops off the head, and then he chops off
He
the
just means the pieces were lying there.
Also, they say basin, so maybe it's like
A big bathtub.
Like,
The
like
clawfoot tub I've always wanted.
I was thinking more like it puts the lotion on its skin kind of thing.
That's a tiny bucket, Kyle.
No, what? No, that's a whole like well.
I thought you meant the bucket of lotion that was brought into the well.
If they fit into the bucket of lotion, there's no way she would have identified them.
I mean, they were very small bits.
Oh, God.
She knows what her sisters look like chopped up.
Does she?
She's
That's
already
my
done her.
sister's pinky.
It's my sister's blood. Oh, what she saw! Her two dear sisters were lying there in the basin, miserably murdered and chopped to pieces.
Oh, there we go. Chopped to pieces.
In
Okay.
spite of this, she
She
proceeded.
mentioned this before.
Candace, they they're definitely in pieces.
No, but like that to me thinks tinier pieces.
Why?
I don't know. This is how I'm envisioning the story going.
Oh my God.
Diced. Finally.
Like garlic.
For a stew.
Yeah.
In spite of this, she proceeded to gather their parts together, placing them back in order: head, body, arms, and legs.
Like Saint Nicholas.
Oh my God. You and St. Nicholas.
Yeah, what are these stories?
The Pickling story that we talked about a few episodes ago.
I
Did
honestly,
we? Which episode?
I don't remember the number.
I mean, I
But
think
in
at
the
this
barrels, the barrels in the butcher shop, and then they piece together.
Did we talk about this on the podcast?
Yes, we did.
point, how many stories are you just going to attribute
Was that in the
to Saint
Urban
Nicholas?
Legends one?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Urban Legends
should-
episode
2.
2.
Should Saint Nicholas have been in the Alien episode as well?
Maybe Saint Nicholas was an alien, giving kids those little presents from his UFO in space.
Anyway.
Then, when nothing else was missing, the parts began to move. They joined together, and the two girls opened their eyes and came back to life.
Saint Nicholas.
I mean, it is very
Christmas
Saint
miracle.
Nicholas.
That's exactly.
I'm
like the
glad
story.
to hear they came back, because this was a little sad.
Yeah. Rejoicing, they kissed and hugged one another.
Aw.
But I'm like, do they have scars? Or is it like fully, they're done?
Oh no, they're fully back to normal.
Are they pale, at least? They lost a lot of blood.
No, you get like it gets sucked up like a sponge.
Like,
Exactly.
okay. When the man returned home, he immediately demanded the keys and the egg. And when he was unable to detect any trace of blood on them, he said, "You have passed the test.
You did it.
You did it. You should be my bride." He now had no more power over her and had to do whatever she demanded. "Good," she answered. But first, you must take a basketful of gold to my father and mother. You yourself must carry it there on your back. In the meanwhile, I shall make preparations for the wedding." Then she ran to her sisters, whom she had hidden in a closet, and said, "The moment is here when I can rescue you. The evildoer himself shall carry you home. As soon as you arrive at home, send help to me." She put them both into a basket, then covered them entirely with gold so that nothing could be seen of them.
That's a big basket.
Yeah, there's a lot of big baskets, right? Like, he can carry them.
I want to know who the basket weaver is in this area, because they're doing a really wonderful job.
Yeah,
I think it's
especially. Maybe it's like
they're magic
baskets. He can carry all the gold and 2 people, and he's still like.
I'm still thinking they're really cute though, that their little legs are dangling up front with the basket ties.
I mean, he doesn't. They can't be dangling because otherwise, how is he? He's going to notice. She's hiding.
Oh, that's true. No, but
Again, I think we may be reading
I don't know.
too much into this.
Okay, so she called the sorcerer in, and she goes, "Now carry this basket away, but you are not to stop and rest underway. Take care, for I shall be watching you through my little window." The sorcerer lifted the basket onto his back and walked away with it. However, it pressed down so heavily on him that the sweat ran from his face. He sat down, wanting to rest, but immediately one of the girls in the basket called out, "I am looking through my little window, and I can see that you are resting. Walk on."
Okay.
He thought that his bride was calling to him, so he got up again. Then he wanted to sit down, but someone immediately called out, "I am looking through my little window, and I can see that you are resting. Walk on." This is
good. Make him pay
this
for
is a
it.
good way to if I'm exercising and I want to take a rest. Somebody saying, "Hey, I can see you through my little window." I'm definitely gonna keep walking.
I'll make sure I let you know.
Thank you. Just call me up.
Kyle, I'm looking through my little window.
That doesn't sound stalkery at all.
Every time that he stopped walking, someone called out, and he had to walk on until, groaning and out of breath, he brought the basket with the gold and the 2 girls to their parents' house. At home, the bride was making the preparations for the wedding feast, to which she had the sorcerer's friends invited. Then she took a skull with grinning teeth, adorned it with jewelry and a wreath of flowers, and carried it to the attic window and let it look out.
I would love that.
Yeah, I feel like you've already done this aesthetic. All of the house.
I'm just putting it out there. If for my birthday you give me a skull with some jewelry and some flowers, I won't say no.
Okay.
Separate or on
No,
together?
no, it's adorned.
Okay.
It's beautiful.
It's a package deal.
Yeah.
Is it for this marriage over here? Sorry, Humphrey was humping
His namesake.
Oh my god.
Okay, when everything was ready, she dipped herself into a barrel of honey and then cut open the bed and rolled around it until she looked like a strange bird. And no one would have been able to recognize her.
Most likely an owl.
She could have. This episode is chaos.
I mean, I like that she was like, "Oh, that's what I'll do. I will look like a bird."
Well, I mean, who's gonna question it?
Right?
This is the origin story of the Mothman.
This is the Birdman.
I don't think this is the origin of Mothman.
Turns out they lived in what was it?
Germany?
Point Pleasant,
Yeah, Point Pleasant, West Virginia. That's it.
Oh my god.
Then she walked out of the house. Underway, some of the wedding guests met her, and they asked, "You, Fitcher's bird, where are you coming from?"
There we go.
The name of the episode book.
And she says, "I am coming from Fitcher's house. What is his young bride doing there? She has swept the house from bottom to top and is now looking out of the attic window." Finally, her bridegroom met her. He was slowly walking back home, and, like the others, he asked, "You, Fitcher's bird, where are you coming from?" "I am coming from Fitcher's house. What is my young bride doing there?" "She has swept the house from bottom to top and is now looking out of the attic window." The bridegroom looked up. Seeing the decorated skull, he thought it was his bride, and he waved a friendly greeting to her. After he and all his guests had gone into the house, the bride's brothers and relatives arrived. They had been sent to rescue her. After closing up all of the doors of the house so that no one could escape, they set it afire, and the sorcerer, together with his gang, all burned to death. The end.
That's the end.
What a tale.
It has a good happy ending.
Right? Kind of.
It does. Not kind of, it does.
Where did he get all the eggs?
What eggs?
He had an egg for every sister.
He had 3 eggs. If this is a lot to you.
Are you looking for tips? Because based off of your reaction to this story,
Well,
the FBI is probably taking notes about you.
Well, I'm saying saying that.
Where is your basin? Is it somewhere on that? Oh my God! Is it that room under the porch? We don't go in there.
don't go there.
Well, I don't go in there.
She goes in there.
Yeah, she goes in there.
She's gonna hand you an egg and a key tomorrow. She's like, I'm going out for a little
There's
while.
always like something leaking out from that door, and I never knew what it was until now.
It's blood.
How many people have you killed, Candace?
You lose count after you have so many bits.
I'm just so many bits.
No, but like
Chopped
the
up.
first sister, when she had the stained egg,
Yeah.
wouldn't you then look for another egg? He clearly
That
had
would
two
be-
more eggs.
That would be my.
But maybe they
Go-to.
were like with him.
Why
Or
is
maybe he
just carrying
conjures
eggs?
them up.
Carrying his little.
I mean, that's what I would think. He was a sorcerer, so he probably
He's
conjured.
a conjurer of eggs.
But also, this house is supposed to be like
And baskets.
splendid. It's supposed to be
Yeah.
beautiful and have everything, but it
Well,
doesn't have
an
other
ample
eggs in the
kitchen.
country.
Like
I mean, I guess you
no
know,
chickens in the
he
yard.
might have known,
I would think.
right? Like, I mean, like if she had gotten another egg, do you think he could have used it?
He'd be like, "That's not the egg I gave you."
yeah,
I mean, I would go with that.
yeah, and she would be like, "Quit gaslighting me. This is absolutely the egg I gave you gave
Like
me."
did he? And then like with like the kids in life skills, they like had their egg marked. Like the teacher would like initial it so
Yeah.
that you couldn't
Maybe.
replace your egg.
That's true.
Do you think this is where the origin story for life skills happened? They
No,
realized
I
it was.
don't.
I
I
think this
absolutely
is-
do
I
not.
think Miss Yu in our 7th grade life skills class. I think this is she
Big
read this
Sur.
and she was like, "Brilliant!
This is the curriculum.
This is how I will teach children to have more responsibility."
And then when we
Oh my
have to
God.
cut things to cook them, I will tell them the bits in the basin.
that's
I never heard of the bits in the basin.
That's gonna be
Until
my
now.
new
it's a follow-up story.
cookie methodology that I'm gonna go with.
Oh my god.
Are you creeped out?
I don't even know.
Which part?
This episode is chaos.
See, for me, the creepiest part is now the basket because
I think the creepy part is how many of the Grimm fairy tales basically involve poor young girls being like captured and trafficked
Well, of course.
into like
Oh no! And the thing is, these were worse. Like Grimm added the violence, but like
Yeah.
they were even more sexual before Grimm got a hold of them. The Grimm brothers.
I can only
I mean the moral of all these stories is pretty much if you have a daughter, don't let her leave the house. Just
Keep her inside.
Keep her inside until she's ready to be married.
And your little fawn brother should not go out gallivanting and taking a rave time. Just raving in the woods.
No, it's just like you closed. Choo 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 choo.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So
Goodness.
Rob, you have our final Grimm tale.
I can't promise there's gonna be bits in the basin.
Well, I mean,
Then
that's
I
all
don't
wanna
wanna hear it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not interested. I mean, like, come on, you gotta. This is a tough act to follow.
It really is. This is called the Grave Mound. And it goes like this. A rich farmer was one day standing in his yard inspecting his fields and gardens. The corn was growing up vigorously and the fruit trees were heavily laden with fruit. Hi, potato. The grain of the year before still lay in such immense heaps in the loft that the rafters could hardly bear it. Then he went into the stable where were well-fed oxen. That's a hard
That's a
thing to say.
sentence.
Yeah, thank you. Where were well-fed oxen, fat cows, and horses bright as looking glass. Jesus Christ, the way they said shit back then was really hard for
You
me.
couldn't handle the 1812.
I can't handle
edition.
today. At length he went back into his sitting room and cast a glance at the iron chest in which his money lay. Whilst he was thus standing surveying his riches, all at once there was a loud knock close by him. The knock was not at the door of his room, but at the door of his heart.
No.
Isn't that beautiful?
No.
Right?
No.
You know where the door to my heart is?
Food?
It's in the basin.
Oh my God.
With the bits.
That sounds like a euphemism for your butthole.
How you,
Anyway.
you know how to unlock it.
Oh my God.
What if I have an egg?
There's no
covered
way
in blood?
people are
Can
gonna...
I just say I've been sitting here for like I don't know how long, and I just met my stand goal.
Oh, good for you.
For you.
There's no way people are going to think we haven't been drinking. Anyway, whilst he was thus surveying his riches, all at once there was a loud, close knock by him. The knock was not at the door of his room, but at the door of his heart. It opened, and he heard a voice which said to him, "Have you done good to your family with it? Have you considered the necessities of the poor? Have you shared your bread with the hungry? Have you been contented with what you have, or did you always desire to have more?"
It's very Christian.
Yes. The heart was not slow in answering. "I have been hard and pitiless and have never shown any kindness to my own family. If a beggar came, I turned my eyes from him. I have not troubled myself about God, but have thought only of increasing my wealth. If everything which the sky covers had been mine own, I should still not have had enough. When he was aware of this answer, he was greatly alarmed. His knees began to tremble, and he was forced to sit down. Then there was another knock, but the knock was at the door of his room. It was his neighbor, a poor man who had a number of children whom he could no longer satisfy with food. I know, thought the poor man, that my neighbor is rich, but he is as hard as he is rich. That's a sentence. I don't believe he will help me, but my children are crying for bread, so I will venture it. He said to the rich man, you do not readily give away anything that is yours, but I stand here like one who feels the water rising above his head. My children are starving. Lend me 4 measures of corn. The rich man looked at him long, and then the first sunbeam of mercy began to melt away a drop of the ice of his greediness. I will not lend you 4 measures, he answered. I will make you a present of 8, but you must fulfill 1 condition.
Okay.
What am I to do? I just lost my spot. What am I to do? Said the poor man. When I am dead, you shall watch for 3 nights by my grave.
There we go with 3 again.
It's always that 3. The peasant was disturbed in his mind at this request, but in the need in which he was, he would have consented to anything. He accepted, therefore, and carried the corn home with him. It seemed as if the rich man had foreseen what was about to happen, for when 3 days were gone by, he suddenly dropped down dead.
Boom, boom.
Yes. No one knew exactly how it came to pass, but no one grieved for him. When he was buried, the poor man remembered his promise. He would willingly have been released from it, but he thought, after all, he acted kindly by me. I have fed my hungry children with his corn, and even if that were not the case, where I have once given my promise, I must keep it. At nightfall, he went into the churchyard and seated himself on the grave mound. Everything was quiet. Only the moon appeared above the grave, and frequently an owl flew past and uttered her melancholy cry. Yes, it's an owl.
May we consider owls?
Did we consider the owls? When the sun rose, the poor man betook himself in safety to his home, and in the same manner the second night passed quietly by. On the evening of the 3rd day, he felt a strange uneasiness. It seemed to him that something was about to happen. When he went out, he saw by the churchyard wall a man whom he had never seen before. He was no longer young, had scars on his face, and his eyes looked sharply and eagerly around. He was entirely covered with an old cloak, and nothing was visible but his great riding boots. What are you looking for here? The peasant asked. Are you not afraid of the lonely churchyard? I am looking for nothing, he answered, and I am afraid of nothing. I am like the youngster who went forth to learn how to shudder, and had his labor for his pains, but got the king's daughter to wife, and great wealth with her. Only I have remained poor. I am nothing but a paid-off soldier, and I mean to pass the night here, because I have no other shelter. If you are without fear, said the peasant, stay with me and help me watch the grave here. To keep watch is a soldier's business, he replied. Whatever we fall in with here, whether it be good or bad, we shall share it between us. The peasant agreed to this, and they seated themselves on the grave together. All was quiet until midnight, when suddenly a shrill whistling was heard in the air, and the 2 watchers perceived the evil one standing bodily before them.
Ooh.
Yeah, right.
The sooty boy?
What?
The sooty boy from before?
No, it does seem like him, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Be off, you scoundrels, cried he to them. The man who lies in that grave belongs to me. I want to take him, and if you don't go away, I will wring your necks. Sir, with the red feather, said the soldier, you are not my captain. I have no need to obey you, and I have not yet learned what fear is. Go away, we shall stay sitting here. The devil thought to himself, money is the best means with which to lay hold to these 2 vagabonds. So he began to play a softer tune, and asked quite kindly if they would not accept a bag of money and go home with it.
Beep, beep, boop, 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 boop. That's a softer tune.
Because we were already on the bag of money. So
Oh,
it was like,
Jesus.
here's a bag of money. Boop, 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 boop.
That is worth listening to, answered the soldier.
There we go. You got the song right.
But 1 bag of gold won't serve us. If you will give as much as you will go into one of my boots, we will quit the field for you and go away. I have not so much as that about me, said the devil, but I will fetch it. In the neighboring town lives a money changer who is a good friend of mine and will readily advance it to me. When the devil had vanished, the soldier took his left boot off and said, we will soon pull the charcoal burner's nose for him, and just give me your knife, comrade. He cut the sole off the boot and put it in the high grass near the grave on the edge of a hole that was half overgrown.
Very specific.
A lot of trouble following.
Are you really?
The boots, Kyle.
I don't even remember what happened to the rich man. Did he die?
Yeah, that's the grave they're sitting in.
Yeah, he
Gotcha.
That will do, said he. Now the chimney sweep may come. They both sat down and waited, and it was not long before the devil returned with a small bag of gold in his hand. Just pour it in, said the soldier, raising up the boot a little, but that won't be enough. The black one shook out all that was in the bag. The gold fell through, and the boot remained empty. Stupid devil, cried the soldier, it won't do. Didn't I say so at once? Go back again and bring more. The devil shook his head, went, and in an hour's time came with a much larger bag under his arm. Now pour it in, cried the soldier, but I doubt the boot will be full. The gold clinked as it fell, but the boot remained empty. The devil looked in himself with his burning eyes and convinced himself of the truth. You have shamefully big calves to your legs, cried he, and made a wry face. Did you think, replied the soldier, that I had a cloven foot like you? Since when have you been so stingy? See that you get more gold together, or a bargain will come to nothing. The wicked one went off again. This time he stayed away longer, and when at length he appeared, he was panting under the weight of a sack which lay on his shoulders. He emptied it into the boot, which was just as far from being filled as before. He became furious, and was just going to tear the boot out of the soldier's hands, but at that moment the first ray of the rising sun broke forth from the sky, and the evil spirit fled away with loud shrieks. The poor soul was saved. The peasant wished to divide the gold, but the soldier said, give what falls to my lot to the poor. I will come with you to your cottage, and together we will live in rest and peace on what remains, as long as God is pleased to permit.
What?
Welcome to what that was like for me to read. Basically, all that happened was they tricked the devil by putting the boot over a hole in the ground.
And he kept wasting his time.
He kept putting the gold in, but he could never fill the boot to fulfill the bargain. So in order to get them to leave, he couldn't get them to leave by sunrise, so they tricked the devil. That's all. And then they get to keep the money and live happily ever after in the first gay marriage of wherever this was.
What a tale. And then they had a big calf mentioned there. The guy had very burly calves.
Well, it was more about, like, because it was that he could spot the cloven hoof of the devil.
Yeah.
I think is what it was.
And he was like, I don't have cloven hooves. Like
yeah, I know. It's hard to understand what a lot of these are because of the way they're written.
Well, that one definitely was, anti-devil.
That one was, prior to my first one, that one was anti-devil.
What a tale. I'm not creeped out from that one.
Yeah, no, that one's not creepy. That one's not nearly as creepy. But I thought it was funny and interesting.
It is.
I really like that you have big lips.
That one was the most homoerotic one I had read.
Yes, that was.
So I was like, I feel like I need to share this with you guys.
That was a good one, because I don't think that one's talked about really.
No, I wanted to pick two that I felt like nobody had ever heard. I liked that one, though, especially because it is kind of very like the tricking the devil type thing.
Yeah, which is a classic kind of story, but in a very grimy way.
Yeah, a very grimy way. Yes.
Very grimy way. Well, I think we learned a lot tonight.
Yeah, we've learned that apparently this is going to be chaos.
Well, that's what fairy tales I think are gonna be for us.
Yeah,
fairy tales and folklore. They're a bit nuts. They're not like the Disney stories.
No, I'm sure we all know what Potato sounds like when he's breathing heavily.
And by this point, if you didn't before, you do now.
Yeah, Potato's definitely in this episode.
Yeah, our biggest guest is Potato.
Yeah, the Pomeranian.
Not husband Kyle.
Yeah, there's Kirby just in time.
Oh no! And then Humphrey decides to wake up and make his little sounds. So I think that's yes. Thank you.
Signing off.
Grimm's Fairy Tales Part 1. Let us know what you think if you want us to talk about.
If you understood any of this.
God. Don't get that egg in the blood. That's what I learned today.
That's what we're going with.
I also like that, the devil will pretty much give you whatever you want. I mean, there were two stories where he's just going to keep giving you gold.
Yeah, and if you're a fawn, don't go out and party.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, if you're a fawn and you do go out and party, understand that your sister will end up marrying a king.
Yeah, so and she's quite young.
Too young, let's be honest.
Yeah, I mean...
So we've learned a lot. I think we can people, our listeners, whoever listen to this one, will understand.
If you've made it this far, congratulations.
If you're confused, so
Good.
are we.
Yeah, that means
I
you're
would
a
like to
normal
know
person.
how many bits are in that
You
room.
and the
to be fair,
bits.
the fact that they were able to be stacked together and reconstituted means that it couldn't have been too many. Otherwise,
Too many bits.
she would have spent a long time.
I'm thinking before we leave.
A dozen?
No.
baker's
I'm
dozen?
gonna go with 4 slices.
Slices.
Well, like, okay, I'm thinking he took off, like, he left the torso, then the arms were separate, and the legs were separate, and then the head was separate.
I
So
get what
6
you're
pieces
saying.
altogether.
6 pieces.
Sure.
Like a 6-piece McNugget.
Oh my god. Jesus Christ.
That's how they make them.
And that's
Oh,
why
Lord.
I'm a vegetarian.
You
Every
are
fast food
100% a
place-
serial killer.
Every fast food place has a basin in the back.
I think he definitely went for the meal, though. He got the...
You got the fries and the drink.
God, the two of you are so weird. Oh my god.
Well, I think Rob is officially creeped out.
Yes. I feel
Not by
like
the stories.
I'm just saying, listen, if I disappear,
Please, this is an
it
SOS.
was 100% these two killed
I will
me.
then just delete the footage.
You know what's
the
going to be great
footage.
is we won't even need to buy dog food for a while.
Are you saying
Dog
Rob's
food.
going to be the bits?
Oh
I
my
mean, that was
god.
the implication, yeah.
Well, I'm not going to kill Rob.
Thank you. That's so kind.
We'll let the dogs do it.
Oh my god. All right, guys.
Okay. Have a good week.
Share with us your favorite Grimm tales, please.
I do want to know and what you thought of this version of Hansel and Gretel. Because
Yeah,
it
this one
certainly
was
different.
crazy different than what we were expecting. So
Yeah. So, thanks
Yeah,
for
it was
listening.
very clear you didn't know where that was
This is
going.
what happens
Yeah.
when you don't prepare.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Okay, well, we'll talk to you next week. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you think.
Do a wellness check on me, please.
Okay.
Bye.
I prick my finger just to see 3 drops of blood that tell me I'm not sleeping. Though I seem to be under a glass coffin, you'll find me cold, though I'm still breathing. Touch my skin, I have no feeling. Still, you smile and stay with me. Still, you smile and say to me, I'll wait for you, Sleeping Beauty. You'll awake and spring will come. We'll cast off our heavy armor, welcoming the newborn sun. Welcoming the newborn sun. This quote is attributed to Emily Portman's song, Sleeping Beauty.